TAM stands for the total addressable market. And the way to calculate that is two ways. Number one, you can go online and do a search for the total addressable market of X. And X is your industry. And quite often, great research companies like McKinsey, or consulting companies like McKinsey, or Bain, or the Boston Consulting Group, or Forrester, or Gartner in the tech sector, will create these reports online and give part away for free. And as part of those reports, they tell you the size of the market. And it's important to know the size of the market because you never want to start a company in a small market, because if you get 100% of that market, which is really hard to do, obviously, and it's a small number, it's not really going to move the needle. And so a lot of venture capital firms like to only invest in companies that have a total addressable market of over $20 billion. And the reason is, if that company hits it big, and most VC or venture capital investments go to zero, but if that company does well, and that company is in a market with, say, $20 billion, right? That's the size of the market. And that company gets 5% market share, then that's a unicorn or $1 billion company. Okay, so you always want to cast your net very, very wide. And I've learned that the hard way as well by teaching online. I created this course called the Complete Hedge Fund. It's called Hedge and Mutual Fund Careers, the Complete Guide. And it hasn't sold that well because not everybody wants to work at a hedge fund or a mutual fund. So I created another course called the Complete Financial Analyst course, which is done much, much better because I cast the net wide. The total addressable market is much bigger, the T.A.M. TAM. So another way to find the TAM, if you can't find it online, is come up with a list of the top 25 companies in that market that you're competing in or want to compete in. And I want you to add up the annual revenues for all 25 of those companies. And that's a good enough proxy for the size of that market. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And usually what happens is, 5 or 10 companies tend to dominate an industry. If it's technology, it's 2, 3, or 4. If you get revenue from the top 25, you basically got, generally speaking, the size of the market. Okay, and if the market doesn't exist yet because it's a new product, you can still get the TAM. And I'll explain how. So back in 1998, when investors were considering investing in Google, what they did was they thought, okay, the search market's not big right now, but longer term, the search market is going to take market share away from the newspaper advertising market, the television advertising market, the outdoor billboard advertising market from companies like Lamar, L-A-M-A-R, ticker L-A-M-R. Yeah, because I was short that in 2008. That's why I know that one. And also from radio and other sources. And so you would add up the revenues from those 4 advertising markets. And that's a good proxy for the TAM for Google at that time. Okay. And I'm sure people did that with Uber and Lyft as well when they were considering investing. They looked at the size of the taxi market, not the online get a taxi app market. Okay, so that's the TAM. And then there's other acronyms, okay? And so the other acronyms are basically, anytime you see something that starts with an S, and there's many of them, the other acronyms basically mean, what's the real market size? Okay, so the TAM is the market globally, but let's say that the TAM is the market globally. What's the actual market in my country? Because I'm only going to go after my market, okay? And that's the SAM.